Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 7. Now it is of the Guna Fanzine Arsenal Women podcast. As you can see, we are missing one of our hosts this week in Freddie. He's out in Austria, having a lovely break, and he's not taking his laptop, and he deserves that break. So we've got the amazing Claudia filling in for him this week. Really exciting to have her on, and yeah, are you looking forward to filming with us this week?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. And it's good that Freddie gets a rest, like you said, because yeah, you guys are on episode 7 already, so the grind
Yeah,
doesn't stop.
Yeah, it's flown by. It really has. Like, I can't believe we filmed 7 already, and obviously, really great to have you on and sort of just chat with you, really. Obviously, it's been a quiet week in terms of Arsenal news. We're not used to this. We usually have at least one thing to talk about. So, yeah,
Yeah.
we just wanted to start, obviously, with it is the off season at the moment, but we have sort of, got the Olympics coming up, and obviously, the Olympics is quite big in women's football, and we'll be looking out for some Arsenal players. We've obviously got Laia Cadena included in the provisional squad for Spain. We've got obviously our Aussies, Cooney Crossford and Catley in the squad, and that's announced already. We'll probably see Emily Fox for the USA, Lacasse for Canada. Are you looking forward to the Olympics? Is it something that you'll be watching? Sort of, are you looking forward to seeing certain Arsenal players? Like, yeah, I just wanted to hear what you thought about that.
Yeah, I watch some international football, don't always watch the Olympics. But I think I will be watching this time because, yeah, especially with Australia having 3 Arsenal players now, it's interesting to see Kari Cooney-Cross especially and how she fits into the Aussie team because she's become quite an important player for them. They don't really have anyone else like her. So yeah, it's been good to follow that international journey, especially with the World Cup, um, and how like popular that was in the country and how they're selling out stadiums now. So yeah, following them and obviously Emily Fox. The US is obviously a massive team in international football, so it's always good to see how they do. And she's a really important player for them. So yeah, she's been brilliant for Arsenal. So I'll definitely be watching her. She's one of my favourite players to watch. It's a shame that we don't have more Arsenal players in the Olympics, but you know we've got enough to keep an eye on. Leah Codina as well. I know you mentioned Spain, and yeah, we were talking before the recording about whether she'll start or whether she'll make the is it the eight, how many people have been cut? I think it's 8, isn't
I
it?
think
So
8 are being cut out, yeah. So obviously we've got to see if she makes it. But like we said before, like young player, would hope that she'd get that opportunity to start as well. And if we obviously think about like who's the favourite, I think Spain will be going into that. Obviously the back of the World Cup win, they're a really strong squad. They've got their issues off the field that we will always like mention and talk about and be disappointed in. But I think in terms of performances as a whole and as a team, they're the strongest team in there at the moment. I wouldn't underestimate the US, like you say, new management as well. Obviously, got Emma Hayes coming in there. As an Arsenal fan, we don't have the best relationship with Emma Hayes, but she's tortured us for years with
yeah,
Chelsea.
she has
We
ever
can
since she
only
left Arsenal. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And I think obviously, we always want to see Emily Fox do really well, so we'll be looking out for her. And then we'll also obviously Lacasse as well. She comes in and out of that Canada side. I don't know
yeah,
if you
she
know
does.
much of that, but I think she's very much an impact sub for them in their previous fixtures. She came on and scored goals and sort of she could be a really strong player for them. Whether she starts or not, we don't know. But I think there's definitely, she's definitely one to watch in terms of what an impact she could have for them. And obviously they do really well in the Olympics, usually Canada. So it'd be interesting to see if they provide a strong team and do well in that. And yeah,
Yeah.
obviously the Lionesses not being in there is obviously the talk of the Olympics. But we've got some really strong teams, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm going out to Paris, so I'm really lucky to
Oh,
be able
wow.
to watch. We got tickets for a quarter final, so I don't know who it's
Nice.
going to be yet, but my fingers are crossed that it'll be at least one Arsenal player in there. But knowing my luck, I'll end up with a team with no one
Yeah.
in because there are quite a few in there. Obviously, we talked about
Yeah.
France and Colombia and teams like that who are in there who aren't we don't have any players for, but it's really nice,
Yeah.
isn't it? Obviously, with women's football in general, to see that grow and to obviously see how it's hosted out in Paris and see who comes out on top. But
Yeah.
obviously, we'll move on from that, and I'll sort of talk about sort of last season for Arsenal. What were your thoughts in general? Because obviously, you haven't been on the podcast before, but we'd love to hear sort of we talked a little bit about maybe disappointments in general, maybe where we can move forward. What were your
Yeah.
thoughts on the season as a whole? And a lot of people described it as disappointing. Do you have that same view? And sort of what were your opinions in general?
Yeah, I think even Arsenal themselves will know that it wasn't. the best season, because we did have a decent squad, probably the best squad that we've had for a while. And obviously we were missing key players still, but you would expect us to, especially towards the end of the season, like the game against Everton, for example, you'd expect us to win that. I think we really struggled with low blocks, especially. So yeah, it was disappointing. I think up and down is how you would probably describe it, like very inconsistent. But I think definitely the sort of pieces are in place, if that makes sense, for next season.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've had the injury to Pullover, but apart from that, I think we're in a good place, especially if we make some signings in the window. I don't see any reason why we can't challenge and even win the WSL next season. I mean, off the pitch, I really enjoyed last season. I thought it was great. But yeah, obviously on the pitch, you know, we've had better. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think obviously, we always like sort of praise Arsenal as a club and the way that they've like handled themselves and, the attendances and the work that's been, you've mentioned there, the work that's being done off the pitch. But a team as big as Arsenal, we have to be pushing for trophies next season, you would say. Sort of we took that Conti Cup over at Wolverhampton and the support there was fantastic. I was lucky to go and experience the atmosphere before and it
Yeah.
really is just incredible, what Arsenal are doing. But
Yeah,
the
I was there as well.
Oh, really? Yeah, that it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
amazing, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, it's
especially I
good.
don't know if you went to pre-match, but the atmosphere before and during the game was just incredible. And obviously to take the trophy just tops it all off. But we know we're always happy to take that Conti Cup. I think it has a special place in our hearts now, doesn't it, that trophy? But do you think that there's a feeling amongst the squad that, especially like you said with new additions, we could push for that title? Obviously things change now. We've got a new Chelsea manager coming in. There'll be teams like Man City who obviously came off last day of the season missing out. Will they bounce back? And it could be a really interesting title race as well. Like, do you think that will really come down to multiple teams next season all pushing for it?
I would imagine so, yeah. I mean, City have lost quite a few players already during the window, so they don't have the biggest squad at the moment, but we've seen from last season that that can be a good thing because you can get that consistency. And I think that's
Yeah.
what we miss. That's definitely what we lack with those players coming back from an ACL injury. And we didn't really settle. I think, going forward, we've only just started to click, really. And so I think, especially if we'll come on to this, but, if we do, like I said, if we do add a player like Mariona, for example, to the squad, I think that will be one of the pieces that's missing for sure. And apart from that, there aren't too many things missing. So yeah, I think Chelsea will be strong. They always are. They just buy incredible players, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
even if they have a bad season, they're still going to be up there. So um, we'll see how Bon Pastor does with the squad. Obviously, it's going to be different for her because she's been at Lyon, so it'll be a very different experience, and we don't know how she'll adapt to WSL football. It's very competitive, and obviously she's used to winning all the time. So yeah, I think it'll be exciting next season, and I think I'm pretty confident. But like I said, the injury to Pullover is a bit of a blow. But yeah.
Yeah, we did touch on that last week as well, and I think obviously, we was really looking forward to her seeing how she was going to grow, and I think she did really well in that team this season. She really cemented her place in that side, and she brought something different. And you never like to say that players being injured presents an opportunity to others, but we kind of really need to address that, don't we, as a club,
Yeah.
and sort of who's going to come in and fill that position. Obviously, we've there's been some rumours, and I do want to touch on that now. Sort of, let's obviously start with one that we maybe might be more confident on. Mariona Caldentey obviously announcing her exit from Barcelona, after being there for a significant period of time, and obviously they would class her as a club legend. I think the response from the Barcelona fans were that they didn't really want her to go. But do you think maybe this isn't like more sure that she might be joining Arsenal from the way she sort of discussed it as potentially leaving Barca and wanting a new challenge? And we haven't heard the official announcement yet. We are waiting for that, obviously, and we're praying that goes through. But what do you think? Have you watched much of her as a player, and sort of why do you think Arsenal are interested in her? What do you think she'll bring to this Arsenal side? And a really obviously interesting topic is, where do you think she'll play?
Yeah, so first of all, I'll be keeping an eye on her, obviously, now that we've been linked, because I haven't, like you asked if I've been sort of watching, I haven't really watched that much of the the league out in Spain. I watched the Champions League final, and I heard that she was really good in that. I think she got an assist.
Yeah.
Yeah, the League F isn't the most competitive league, so I think again it'll be interesting to see if we do sign her, like how she adapts. But she's obviously a brilliant player. Pretty much everyone at Barcelona is. I'm also going to the Olympics. I forgot to say that earlier. So hopefully she will feature there. If we go, we might actually be able to see her play in person. But yeah, from the way she announced the departure, yeah, like you said, you know, she's been at Barcelona for a long time. She's won everything. So a new challenge, she probably does want something more competitive. And you know, the WSL is probably the most competitive league. I'm not like, I'm not saying it's the best league, but it's definitely the one where, you know, you're not guaranteed, no one's ever guaranteed 3 points, but for Barcelona, you know,
Yeah.
they pretty much are. So
Yeah, it'll be a different vibe for her, won't it? In terms of like
yeah,
going from sort of being in that Barcelona side and, you know, they obviously do really, really well in the Champions League where it is more competitive. We know that they're a strong side, but you know, week in, week out in the league, the WSL now is becoming that competitive league. Like you say, you know, you never know. You could go to a lower like team and really get challenged. Arsenal did this season, didn't they? Obviously, we had the disappointing defeat to West Ham. You know, we had that North London derby defeat. That's maybe something more to say about Arsenal's performance. But in terms of the league becoming competitive, it is a positive thing to see in general. And I think like Mariona coming into that side, she's an extremely versatile player. You know, she can play in the number 10, she can play as a striker, she can play on the left wing. I
yeah,
think we maybe will be expecting Arsenal to sign a winger in general. Do you think maybe
yeah.
Mariona's coming in as that versatile player, she can cover that position? Or do you think potentially Arsenal would be looking to sign another winger in the transfer window?
I would think that they have to be, if only to kind of future plan a little bit.
Yeah.
Similarly to midfield, like we can't rely on Kim and Leah forever. So at least one of those needs to be, you know, sort of, yeah, we've got other players, but in all positions you need to be constantly thinking about the future as well as the present. So yeah, I think a younger winger would definitely be on the agenda because you can't just have all players the same age and then once they, you know, don't hit the levels that they need to, you can't bring anyone else in because you haven't signed anyone. Like, and someone gets injured, you know, like Palova's a good example. So because she's a little bit younger, but now, you know, she's injured. But yeah, so I would say we need a left-sided young winger. Not sure who. I haven't really seen any links so far. I think it's been pretty quiet. I know that Chelsea were linked with Sandy Baltimore, who's a left. I think she's a young left-sided winger.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I hope we do sign one as well as Mariona because I think we need both.
Yeah.
But I guess we're all, as fans, we're always greedy, aren't we? We always want more. And I guess we can now go on to like other links as well and who
Yeah.
else we want to see.
Yeah, of course there was big Twitter news, wasn't there? Nothing official obviously at this point, but with rumours in terms of the transfer window obviously now being open as well. I think obviously there's going to be more of this, and as Arsenal fans you've really got to be careful about when you get excited about these things because they do
Yeah.
sometimes fall through. And you have these rumours that come, but one of those obviously being Kira Walsh. Now, this is an interesting one because I think it came unexpected. I know
Yeah.
Arsenal were interested before they've,
Yeah.
with a player of that talent, and you're always going to be interested in
Yeah.
somebody like that. But that really came, I would say, as a surprise. I would, in general, but I think maybe what you said about sort of Kim Little and Leah Volti, sort of, especially with Leah Volti's contract nearly being open, sort of maybe Kim Little getting older every single year, but still being one of our best players. Do you think
Mm.
maybe that is why the interest for Kira Walsh came, or is it just a case of when a player like Kira Walsh might be interested, or you're never going to say no, are you?
No, and I think Arsenal would only look at a player like that if they thought there was a chance that we would sign her,
Yeah.
because they wouldn't waste their time otherwise. And we were obviously very interested last summer, and we're very interested again. And whether she does join, I don't know, but yeah, I think we definitely are looking at someone, probably both, to be honest. Probably we are looking at her because she is one of the best, not just defensive midfielders, but probably one of the best players in the world. So
Yeah.
if there's a chance that she would want to play for us, then yeah, we would obviously try and sign her. And My guess would be that she wants to maybe come back to England.
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure, but like if we were interested last summer and she'd already, won the Champions League, won the league, maybe she did just want to experience that and then is happy to just come back and again maybe be in a bit more of a competitive league. And if you want to if you want to build a Champions League winning squad, I mean, like you can't really do much better than Barcelona, can you?
Yeah.
So
And two players potentially coming in from Barcelona definitely shows Arsenal's intentions this transfer window if they do go through. Obviously, Mariona one looking more likely than the Kira Walsh one at this stage, but we'll keep our eyes open and sort of see what gets announced and wait for that official announcement before we get too excited. But in terms of like the rest of the transfer window, obviously Arsenal have expressed interest in goalkeepers, and the goalkeeper situation is one that they are thinking about and considering, and that's not a surprise really, is it? Obviously, Sabrina D'Angelo and Kayla Marquez obviously leaving in the recent at the end of that last season, sorry. So do you think that would be something that Arsenal have to get done? Obviously, Manu Zinsberger, Arsenal's number one, and obviously would have always been looking for that person to challenge her, haven't they? Do you think that a goalkeeper is a must in this transfer window?
yeah, yeah, well, you need a backup, and I think we need a quality backup as well. Not. I think if, for example, again, if Manny gets injured, we needed a good goalkeeper to come in, and also someone to challenge her. Obviously, goalkeeper is not a position where you normally rotate, but we need someone who is as good, if not better, or at least is going to be better at some point, who's maybe a bit younger. And then, yeah, I guess, like if Zinsberger can fight off the competition, then great. And if not, when we've got someone great who can step in. So yeah, hopefully we will sign someone, whether it's Van Domselaar or someone like that. That would be great. Obviously, there are links to Mary Earps. We don't know what's going on there, but we don't know how interested Arsenal still are. It sounds like we're not as interested as we were. So yeah, maybe we're focusing on like a younger keeper who we can develop a little bit. Yeah, so I think we definitely will sign one.
Yeah,
Well,
hopefully. I think
yeah,
with like Barry Earps as well, like obviously it's a similar situation to Keir Walsh, although there is a little bit of sort of mixed opinions. I think part of that is mainly the age thing. Obviously, we're looking at Manu, signed that 1 year contract extension, and obviously, Arsenal potentially looking for a younger goalkeeper. We all know, the talent of Daphne Van Domselaar. Unfortunately, she had that injury this season that saw her miss quite a lot of the season. But I think if we look at her performances for the Netherlands as well, like she's there, first choice, and she's young and she's talented and she's got so much potential. That maybe should be who Arsenal are targeting, but obviously, it really just depends. I think the interest in Mary Earps was more last sort of transfer window. I think obviously with PSG now showing an interest in her and her making that decision whether she wants to sign again at Manchester United or, have a new challenge. I think potentially maybe she might look at that move abroad as a new challenge for her. And maybe we look at the Van Domselaar one as sort of more realistic. And a player like that, we're always gonna welcome at Arsenal, and sort of we always do welcome anybody who comes in. And then I think that sort of brings into the discussion about the squad in general. Like we're in a really good place, like you mentioned earlier, with certain players and having that really strong squad. We really want that squad depth to really challenge if we're going to push for different trophies this season. Do you think there'll be many exits this season from the squad? Is it mainly going to be young players? Do you think we'll see any more? Obviously, we had Miedemar as the big exit, and obviously we've had D'Angelo and Marchese, and will it just be the young players you think that will exit, or maybe on loan, or do you think there'll be any surprise exits sort of this season, or do you think it'll just be young players going out on loan, or we'll also maybe touch on the Geo situation as well?
yeah. I mean, I hope not. I don't think there's anyone who is looking to leave. To be honest, like most people have signed a contract fairly recently, or there's just no speculation about them. So I wouldn't expect any like major departures. But yeah, obviously Gio and Cool maybe potentially younger players who just aren't getting the minutes that some would say they deserve.
Yeah.
But I think when you're a club like Arsenal, and obviously the plan was to integrate them, it hasn't happened. Maybe they'll learn from that. but ultimately you have to you're making a business decision. You have to play your best players, don't you? So if they have to leave to sign someone like Kira Walsh, it's and Caldentey, I mean, that's just what happens. So yeah, I hope that no one leaves. I don't think they will. And yeah, I mean, I think, you know, in future, if we sign younger players, hopefully we are able to integrate them a little bit more. Like Kyra Cooney-Quest is a good example. I think we've done that pretty well, especially now with Palova's injury. Hopefully she'll continue to get even more minutes. She got a decent amount of minutes last season, but yeah, hopefully we can sign some players and not lose anyone. That's always
Definitely.
but
And
you
there's
can't get too excited about new players because they're just rumours. So
yeah.
yeah.
We always have to wait for confirmation, don't we? Because we don't want to, speculate and sort of get it wrong. But I think obviously with Cole as well, potentially for her to come in, maybe obviously we have got Kyra as well. But there was a lot of talk obviously when we heard that announcement of Palova's injury that maybe Cole would stay in the squad. We don't want to send too many players out and not have that squad depth. It's a similar situation, I think, isn't it, with the centre back situation at Arsenal, sort of. Obviously in terms of the back line in general, Lara Wainwright obviously signing a contract extension, that was always a positive thing for Arsenal. They've got like Adina, they've got Leah Williamson, obviously lots with more, Illicet obviously out at the moment. Do you sort of think Arsenal will look to sign a centre back, or do you think this is a case of maybe giving somebody like Taya Goldie or Katie Reid a chance? Because obviously that you want to have that squad depth. We have obviously had injuries to that back line and then sort of had to bring Reid back from loan from Watford. So do you think it'll be a
Mhm.
case of signing somebody, or potentially this is the chance for somebody to break through and get that opportunity?
It's a good question because like it's kind of similar to what we were talking about with younger players who are leaving. You know, we've got younger players who we are looking to integrate into the first team from the academy this time rather than, you know, bringing them in from another club. And it's always great to have homegrown players and talent that you can sort of nurture because I think they will be a bit more loyal, I suppose. Leah Williamson's a great example. But yeah, I think it would be great if we could. I haven't seen, obviously, because she's been injured, I haven't seen that much of Taya.
Yeah.
Even before the injury, I don't think she played a huge amount for the first team. So, and obviously, Katie Reid hasn't either. But I would say when I watched them in the game against the All Stars in Melbourne, they were really good.
Yeah.
Both of them, I thought. Obviously not perfect because they're young, very young. So, and they haven't played a huge amount of first team minutes, but very, very promising. And they didn't look out of place, to be honest. Like, I think they slotted in pretty well. So yeah, I would like to see that. I wouldn't be disappointed if we signed someone, but I think for me, priority would be a creative attacking player because I think that's what we lack. I think in the final third, we lack creativity and that final ball. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, like we've had this discussion about Arsenal and signing a number 10, and will Frida Mann play that position, or will, we look to Mariona, or will we sign somebody? And that's still up for discussion. Arsenal obviously need to improve their XG, their goal scoring. They need to, that's what maybe made us miss out on so many points this season. But it's one to keep an eye on, I think, with this transfer window to see who Arsenal bring in and maybe sort of get an idea of what Jonas is trying to do with this squad. Obviously, Gio is a sad one, really, because obviously she's exactly the type of player that we're looking for. That winger. She can score goals. Obviously, she's had that loan over in Madrid. I just think, it's a bit disappointing the way that situation was handled because really she might have had a chance in this Arsenal squad, especially coming into this season as well.
Yeah, we need someone like her now. Obviously, at the time, we maybe were sort of struggling to give her the minutes that she needed. And it was disappointing, obviously, the way that it happened. But I think, we did offer her the opportunity to go on loan before, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not like we've just left her. So yeah, I think she probably wanted to find the right loan for her. And now she's done that and she's doing really well.
Yeah.
So that's obviously great for her. And yeah, like I think in future, hopefully, like I said, it will be a bit of a lesson so we can just maybe focus on signing players. I think Jonas said it as well. Like he said, we're looking at quality over quantity at the moment. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think she's a great player, and hopefully she'll have a great career, and we can sign someone similar to her unfortunately, I don't think she will come back now because of everything that's happened. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we can probably say that ship has sailed. Obviously, it's not confirmed, but it is upsetting in a way. Obviously, maybe she could have had that chance, but these things unfortunately do happen in football, and all we can do is hope that she gets the best move for her career and that she can have that consistent play time because we don't want to be sort of messing her around at this point. But what I did want to touch on is the one bit of news that we did get from Arsenal women really this week, and that was the new squad numbers. I think
Yeah.
Kadina obviously taking the number 5 and McCabe number 11. Were you expecting that news to come out? Did you expect some squad numbers to be changed, or did it come as a surprise to you, really?
Yeah, it came as a bit of a surprise. I don't know about you, but yeah, I wasn't. I don't really expect that to be a sort of big deal, but it clearly is to the players. I think you know they that those are the numbers that they have for the national team. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's like their Instagram handles as well. So yeah, it's nice for them to have the numbers that they want. But yeah, I don't think there's much to read into apart from that. What about
Mainly
you?
just, I think it's probably just the McCabe obviously getting Viv's number that people obviously liked. I think there would have been a bit of an uproar potentially if that number had gone to somebody else, and who
Yeah,
better to go to than, as they say on Twitter, president of the media
yeah,
fan club. So it
yeah,
is very nice as well that she's got that number, and I think obviously they would have had that discussion and with McCabe and Viv and sort of Arsenal in general. And I do like that she's been given that number and they've handled that really well, I thought. So yeah, that obviously leaves some numbers open. We won't speculate too much on that. Obviously, like Adina giving up the number 27
yeah,
has made Twitter go crazy this week, but maybe we are reading too much into that. And I like I said, I put a tweet out about Kira Walsh and
yeah,
before being available, and everybody sort of that went sort of crazy. But obviously, it was a light-hearted joke. But if we're thinking about it, that potentially those numbers are now open as well. Obviously, Arsenal have the number 8 open in general since Jordan Nobbs left, so a big number to take. Potentially, Mariona could take that number, but then you never know, do you? Because Arsenal could surprise you with a random number that we weren't expecting. So that's just
yeah.
the way it is, I think. It's just you never really know with squad numbers. And I sort of how I wanted to sort of finish on really, I know we mentioned it earlier, but we're sort of looking into next season. What are
Yeah.
sort of your hopes for next season performance wise? Like, is there specific sort of things you're looking for, like challenging for the title, or specific just is it just that consistency?
Yeah, I think obviously the bare minimum would be to challenge for the title again. Well, I say again, we weren't quite in it towards
Not
the
quite
end,
there,
but
yeah.
yeah, I think this time definitely. I don't think we can go another year without being, at least either win it or at least be very close. And I'd love actually to see us win the FA Cup,
Yeah.
because you know I went to, I don't know if you went, but I think I can't remember what year it was, maybe like 4 years ago, something like that. We played in the FA Cup final. And it was just really depressing. We lost 3-0. The weather was awful. And it
Not the
was in
best
December
day.
because of COVID. Yeah. Got
Yeah.
battered by Chelsea. So yeah, I would love it because I think with the increase in our fan base, like it would be great to have that day out for the club and just to experience that because it will be sold out probably,
Yeah.
which I don't think it was last time. I think it was close, but it wasn't. So yeah, it would be great to do that, and also just to win another trophy would be great. That's not the Conti Cup. So yeah, what about
Like we
you?
say, Conti Cup obviously like special place in our hearts. It will feel weird not to if we don't go into that trophy and get that trophy next season or not even be in the final because obviously it's got like a special, place in our hearts. But I think if you told someone that they could have that Wembley day and that FA Cup final day instead and hopefully, bring that trophy home. I think obviously the Champions League is an interesting one as well. Obviously the exit really early last season sort of disappointing. Obviously we didn't really have a pre-season. There's lots to talk about there, but we won't get into that today. But be really nice to see Arsenal get some European sort of away days as well. That would be really good, and hopefully we can really push and show, as the team, in the England that have won that trophy, we need to be in that competition. We really need to push. But yeah, lots to look forward to next season. And thank you so much for coming on today and obviously talking about that. Not so much news to talk about this week, but always nice to reflect on last season and hopefully look forward to some exciting transfers and hopefully a really good season next season. So thanks so much for coming on, and I'm sure Freddie will think that you've done an amazing job, and hopefully we can get you on as well in the future. If you'd love to do it again, that would be great.
For sure. No, thanks for having me. It's been really fun.